It's official, Kylian Mbappe will finally play for Real Madrid. After all the drama, all the controversy, all of the endless rumours, the will he won't he, the French superstar will be wearing the iconic Los Blancos shirt. And on paper, they're starting to look terrifying to the world of football. It's now clear that there's no squad in the world that can match the star power, the Galacticos, that Real Madrid have at their disposal. But how do they do it? How do they manage to win the biggest trophies in the world continuously and at the same time keep getting better every season by adding a new Galactico or two every year? For some of you, the answer may be obvious, but let me tell you something that many legends have said. It's harder to stay on top than it is to make the climb. So in today's video, we turn our attention to the best team in the world who just won the Champions League for a record 15th time, and while other clubs would be celebrating, are already focusing on securing their 16th Champions League title. So can they do it? Yes, there isn't any team in the world hungrier and demanding for trophies than Real Madrid. That's the truth, and that's why Los Blancos are the greatest sports club on the planet. Can you imagine you win the Champions League on Saturday, and just a few hours later, you deliver the long-awaited announcement that the best player on the planet is coming to join your already star-studded team. But you won't be paying the expected 150 or 200 million for him. He comes as a free agent, giving you the chance to use the money you saved on him to strengthen other positions. Yes, this is perhaps the sweetest part of the deal for President Florentino Perez, who has shown the patience needed over the last 3 years to finally bring Mbappé in without paying a transfer fee. And when it comes to reinforcing the squad, Real Madrid are also the best to do the job for the present and with an eye on the future. The club are astonishingly adept at bringing in some of the best players and young talents in the world without breaking the bank. Take a look at Transfer Market's list of the 20 clubs with the highest net spending over the last 5 years, a list dominated by clubs in the Premier League with their seemingly unlimited spending. However, incredibly but true, Real Madrid are 19th in the table with just a net spend of 175 million euros, which is an incredible achievement. Yes, it's remarkable how low their net spending has been over the last 5 years, and yet they still managed to get some of the best talent in the world. Let's talk about money. In the last 3 summer transfer windows, or since 2021, Real Madrid have bought in several high-profile players in addition to Kylian Mbappe, such as Jude Bellingham, Aurelien Tchouameni, Antonio Rudiger, Eduardo Camavinga, Arda Güler, and even Brazilian wonderkid Endrick for around 250 million euros. And speaking of their status, Rudiger was arguably one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League and European champion with Chelsea when he joined Madrid as a free agent. Tchouameni and Camavinga were 2 of the best young talents in Ligue 1, coveted by all clubs across Europe, a total of around 120 million. Jude Bellingham widely considered the best young midfielder in Europe for 100 million, and Endrick undoubtedly considered the best young talent coming out of Brazil for 40 million. And of course now, free agent Kylian Mbappe, who has more goal contributions than games in his career to date and has already scored 4 goals in 2 World Cup finals. That's how crazy and insanely efficient Real Madrid's business has been in recent years. It's also impressive that Real Madrid have been able to replace some of their biggest players who form the basis of 3 successive Champions League triumphs, such as Casemiro and Rafael Varane, who cost Manchester United over 100 million euros. Their absence, however, was not felt with the arrival of Rudiger and Tchouameni, as Madrid won the Champions League, La Liga and the Spanish Super Cup in 2022, just a year after their departure. And while we're on the subject of generational change and how successful Real Madrid have been in that regard, let's take a look at how their bitter rivals Barcelona managed to do it. The Catalan fans certainly didn't take the news of Kylian Mbappe's transfer well, but what's more worrying is the fact that theoretically, at least for the moment, they have nothing to put on the table against Real Madrid next season. The difference is that the Barcelona team under Guardiola and even under Luis Enrique was worlds away from the one we have now, while Real Madrid gradually replaced their biggest stars from Galacticos 2.0 with the best possible talents around the world. Building a new star-studded team, Barca spent around 250 million only on Coutinho and Ousmane Dembele to replace a single player, Neymar, when the Brazilian left in 2017. On the other hand, in an attempt to replace the likes of Xavi, Iniesta, Dani Alves and Puyol, Barca invested heavily in unproven and even risky players such as Arthur, Samuel Umtiti, Nelson Semedo and Arda Turan. On the other hand, Barca have had their successes during this period, such as last season's La Liga title, but the problem is that they've failed to maintain that high level, which we'll talk about more in a moment. The Catalans enjoyed an impressive campaign in La Liga in 2022-23, and given the excellent business they did last summer, bringing in the likes of Ilkay Gundogan, João Cancelo and João Felix without spending a penny on transfer fees, Barca were bound to build on that. Indeed, apart from the departure of Sergio Busquets, Barcelona's squad was greatly strengthened, but they still failed miserably in 2023-24. Now, before we move on to the main topic of how did Real Madrid manage to stay at the top for so long, make sure you subscribe, and if you're excited to see Mbappé don the famous Los Blancos jersey, hit the like button and comment Mbappé is Madrid below. Well, as we mentioned earlier, for many athletes it seems incredibly difficult to get to the top, but when they do, they think that the easiest part of the job remains to maintain that high level. However, such a view would only be held by a team or an athlete who've never been at the top, because they don't know what it feels like to be able to say, I am the best. In fact, there are many athletes and clubs in different sports who've been dominant for a long time. For example, Roger Federer in tennis, who won an incredible 16 Grand Slams between 2003 and 2010, or Lewis Hamilton in Formula 1, who won the championship title in 6 out of 7 seasons between 2014 and 2020. However, nothing comes close to the legacy of Real Madrid, who won 6 out of 10 Champions League trophies between 2014 and 2024. And while Madrid were undoubtedly the best team in the world in the Champions League wins in 2014, 2016, 17 and 18, with the likes of Prime, Ronaldo, Kroos, Modric, Ramos, Varane, etc., the last 2 European titles in 2022 and 2024 seem to have been won more through mentality and respect from the opposition than through exceptional class and performance. Yes, don't get me wrong, in both 2022 and 24, Real Madrid have boasted a solid squad, but it had its weaknesses on paper. In 2022, Karim Benzema and Thibaut Courtois were at their peaks of their power, but their defensive pairing of Alaba and Militao wasn't fully formed, as it was only their first season together. In the season that's just finished, however, Real Madrid played without a pure striker, deploying Jude Bellingham as a false nine with Vinicius and Rodrygo breaking in from the flanks, and with veteran striker Joselu scoring from the bench. And that's why the 2024 Champions League trophy will be remembered as one of the most impressive, because it was won in an unusual fashion, not in the Madrid way. But once again, Carlo Ancelotti's Real Madrid proved to be one of the most adaptable teams in history, making the impossible possible. And this is perhaps the most significant statement of all, that despite not having the best squad in the world, Real Madrid have managed to win 2 Champions Leagues in 3 years. Now add Kylian Mbappe to the mix, and you can imagine the magnitude of their future. Of course, Real Madrid's biggest critics would say that the Frenchman wouldn't play in his preferred role, as he's best suited to playing on the left wing, a position currently occupied by Vinicius. Others, however, would argue that the likes of Mbappe, Bellingham and Vini would clash with each other in their quest to win the biggest individual trophies. But with Ancelotti at the helm, don't bet on it. Of course, there's always the possibility of a situation like the Barcelona one in 2017, when Neymar left the Camp Nou to step out of Messi's shadow, and then ended up shattering both Barca's dreams of more big trophies and his own career, choosing his individual progress over the collective. However, when you're talking about top professionals united under the Real Madrid identity, mentality and legacy, these concerns can be minimised. On the other side, when it comes to Mbappe's position, well, 2023-24 taught us that Carlo Ancelotti can be very flexible in his approach to team selection. He's also one of those coaches who, unlike Pep Guardiola for example, does not choose his squad according to his ideology or style of play, but rather according to what he has at his disposal. It's no coincidence that the Italian's been described as one of the most unpredictable coaches of the last 25 years, because you never know how he will approach a game. The simplest example of this is that Ancelotti has enjoyed great success at 3 different top clubs with 3 radically different ideologies. Milan in the mid-2000s, Bayern Munich around 10 years later, and Real Madrid in 2 spells between 2013 and 2015, and the current one since 2021. Moreover, Real Madrid won La Liga and the Champions League this season for the first time in more than 20 years without a typical number 9, suggesting that a solution will surely be found to complete the squad with all the possible stars. Yes, Kylian Mbappe's transfer is indeed one of the biggest in history, and when we talk about the Frenchman's price tag, currently worth 180 million euros, making him the most expensive footballer in the world, his free transfer can easily be described as the best ever. But will Mbappe prove to be that historic for Real Madrid, or will he repeat the sad story of Eden Hazard, who was also highly anticipated? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you like the content, check out our other content right here.